Let's do it.
Sounds great.
This is the Trade Show's Unhinged podcast, a podcast from the Facebook group You Know You Work in Trade Shows When. This podcast centers on trade shows, live events, and experiential marketing activations in today's world. Your hosts are Todd and Mike, who is the owner of Showbox Exhibits and the creator of the Facebook group You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, and Mike Morrison, Vice President of Sales for WS Display. The clock is ticking, so let's get busy and get to it, and we'll do just that after this.
Need a presenter? Your Event Audio has you covered. Closed-circuit audio equipment with turnkey operation at your trade show booth, live event, or private event. YourEventAudio.com is the place to go. DJ services, MC talent, and a whole lot more. Check out YourEventAudio.com today.
It's time for the August edition of our favorite show here on You Know You Work in Trade Shows When on the Facebook page, as well as social media around the trade show industry. And that's Trade Shows Unhinged on this August 22nd, 2025. Mike Morrison, Vice President of Sales at WS Display, as you see there in the screen. Todd and Mike is the owner of Showbox Exhibits and also the owner of You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, a group on Facebook of a lot of people within our industry that feed funny stuff, educational things, up-to-date types of posts. Most of it, Todd, is kind of funny. They,
Sure.
It's labor intensive, so there's a lot of, look what happened at this convention hall with the forklift picking up the fat woman working in the concession stand, dumping on her head. Something like that. Just, to try to make it a family friendly and everything. But we were just off mic talking a minute ago. You got a lot of things going on, as well as this is the time of year going into third quarter of a year that usually starts picking up all of the requests for bids for fourth quarter or third quarter and into fourth quarter before it dies down the holidays. And then, of course, you hit craziness against the wall with first quarter, which in this case will be 2026. And you're already seeing some of that flex, which is good news, right?
Absolutely. Excited. Yeah, for once, clients are talking about, first quarter 26. So sometimes even now we're getting quotes for requests for quotes for shows in 8 days. In the 20 by 50s, we're like, where have you've known about this for a year? Why are you taking so long?
They went into the Cinderella sleep and forgot to wake up and request that bid.
2 requests for the same show, 2 different clients with a 20 by 50 request at the shows in, I think, 2 weeks. So
they were partying hard at the same party. And
you're going to get what we have that's on the shelf.
Yeah. Did you request yours? I didn't request mine. Yeah, I can see that conversation happening. But speaking of which, as we dive into this month's Trade Shows Unhinged, there's been, and once again, off mic, Todd and I were talking about what's been published in multiple publications about Las Vegas recently. The headline of one of the most recent ones states Las Vegas is seeing serious issues with visitor decline and less money being spent. Now, and I'll go on, when we posted, it was Don and Mike that Don Savela, who lives in Las Vegas and does have Exhibit City News, the publication there, as well as exhibitcitynews.com, and the co-host of Don and Mike, talked about that since he lives there. He's kind of an expert on it. And his take on it was, everything goes up and down. And I kind of mentioned about consumer concern with spending right now, the economy, and the concern with everything, inflation, everything's going up. So people might be a little more cautious in spending their money and just dropping on a dime and going, hey, let's go to Vegas and throw $20,000 away in video slots or something. I mean, I could see that happening. It was interesting. We had, every now and then we'll put little small bites of both the podcasts on the group. And I did that earlier in the week with Don. And when he was talking about, things go up, things go down, things will come back, right? Well, somebody, and I'm not going to mention the name, somebody within our group of You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, made this statement, quote, the quote-unquote fees the hotels and resorts are now charging, along with the cost for what used to be super low or even complimentary if you're gambling. They did this to themselves. And his final statement was, just wait until the trade shows decide to pull out and see what happens. Now, I think that's pretty far-fetched. I've seen dumber stuff than that happen, but it is noted, before I turn the mic over to Todd, that visitor counts, airport passengers, and gambling wins and hotel room revenue reached all record highs in the past few years, which makes it kind of difficult to compare what current trends are, according to Steve Hill. He's the president CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. But it is an interesting take, Todd, on this situation. Now, you and I were talking off mic, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that topic.
Well, I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing it on Instagram. I'm seeing it on TikTok. There is a definite smear campaign going on against Vegas right now, I think. I mean, I go there all the time. I was just there last month. I'll be there again this month and every month until May of next year. And there might be a downturn in consumer spending, but trade shows are still there. Trade shows aren't going away. So I really don't understand, maybe Chicago or Orlando or Anaheim has gotten together and say, hey, let's diss on Vegas and make it look like, everything is doom and gloom. But I just don't see that. I don't see how any trade shows are going to pull out or how trade shows are going to be affected because, resort fees are too high. They are too high, I agree. I mean, I hate paying another $55-$60 a night just because. And I do stay at the resorts when I go to Vegas because I want to be close to LVCC. I want to be at Mandalay. I want to be near the Link, or Caesars. I want to be near the venues. So I'm there and I see, and it was hard to get a table last month. It was hard to just slot myself into a blackjack table. I just don't see where this negativity is coming from. I mean, the videos I'm seeing are people, 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. It's 115 degrees outside. Yeah, no one's outside, of course. Duh. Of course, no one's outside. So I really don't see a lot of truth to what's going on. I'm sure, but, there might be some travel that's down, but business-wise, it's going to crank right back up in the fall.
An instance where I'm thinking this became an issue was Exhibitor's show. Exhibitor, the show that happens every year from the Exhibitor Group, when Mark Johnson purchased the organization along with the show, he polled people, mainly CTSMers and the people who are affected by the show, and he claimed, and I didn't question him, I just took him at the statement. He said everybody told him they were tired of going to Las Vegas. And now,
well, he's asking industry people. Of course, we're all tired of going to Las Vegas.
Right.
He's asking the wrong group of people.
Right.
We're always there anyway.
That was it. That was exactly the response. And the show was going to cost 30% more than what it was before he took over the organization.
So to be somewhere
obviously, else? To be in Mandalay Bay.
Okay. I see.
So that.
Okay, well, there's your answer. That's why he moved it.
So the overwhelming response was, according to Mark, we want to travel. We want to go to different sites. That way we can take it in firsthand. So that's why you've seen Louisville, Nashville. We just did San Antonio. Next year's Tampa. And the next year after that is Denver, Colorado. So Exhibitor is going to travel around. And then after that, I think Dallas, Texas might be after that at the new convention center, Kay Bailey Hutchison, the redo of that one. So, for the next 5 years, no, not that long, but the next 3 years, they've already got them in the books. So
how is, as Mark said, how it's doing? How's attendance? How's Exhibitor?
Funny you should ask. It's a mixed bag.
Okay.
I think it's dependent upon, I'm not going to get into the politics of that situation where the owner of several custom exhibit houses owns the entity of the show, the leads, the everything. He sees it all, right? Because he owns it. And there's a little bit of mistrust there, and it's surfaced. Some of these people that I know that have voiced this mistrust have island booths in the organizational show. So they must not think too bad of it because they still go to the show.
Still there. Yeah.
And actually have had to kick out people who who advanced advertised that they were going to be in the square, which is the big middle thing, where everybody goes for the big
where you were
meetings and
podcasting
presentation. I didn't last year,
Okay.
but basically, where I did the year before when I was in Nashville. We did exhibitor now, but then
That area,
in
that's
that
where-
year is when we split off, and then
Okay.
I went back to Don and Mike. But that was it. There was a heavy duty guy who said, "Yeah, meet me in the square. We're going to talk business," and he shut that down quickly. If you want to talk business, buy a booth, but you're not going to suitcase the show and advance, and piggyback off the show. Now EDPA does that because they have their engage their middle of the year tied into exhibitor, because they know, and that's just an association being smart, right? And because taking advantage of wherever the city is, they find a venue. Last year was San Antonio. There was a big bar down the road that was 2 stories, and they had bands and everything. They ate and they drank and they partied and all as part of engaging. They networked, but it was part of the exhibitor, thing. Back to Vegas though. That's where I see the industry conflict coming up. Is there is some price concern, mainly through MGM and Caesars and everybody else who's upping their rates by 30, 40, 50% or even more. And I remember a couple of shows back, Don and I talked about a bottle of water in the honor bar, the bar in the room, $28 for a bottle of water. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, first of all, stupid on him for not going over to CVS across the street and grabbing a 6-pack for $5 and putting it in his room. But I agree with you. I tend to lean towards you. Vegas will be Vegas. Vegas is going to do its thing. Somebody said Vegas has lost the magic. And I'm like, no, look at the Sphere. Look how much activity. The A's.
Oh yeah.
Coming in with a new stadium. They're doing things.
They're
that
doing
are going
fine.
to keep up.
I know people that went to the Sphere I guess it was this month, to see Backstreet Boys, and then went the next day to see Backstreet Boys. So the Sphere is doing wonders for Vegas right now. I know people who have never been to Vegas are like, I want to go see the Sphere. I'm like, Vegas has been there for since the 40s, and you just now want to go because of the Sphere, right?
Oh, and some people, amazingly enough, go to Fremont, and I'm like, well, that's a whole different. That's like Walmart on steroids, going down there. Because
Fremont is rough, but I tell you what, the Golden Nugget, Circa, there's a lot of really nice places to go. There are some good hotels there now, and the gambling's cheaper. There's something to be said for the nostalgic of downtown Las Vegas.
Yeah, I went to Printing United last year. I stayed in a 28th floor of the Sahara because it was right down the road from LVCC.
Yeah,
and I had the room looking out over the Strat and downtown. And
nice.
I'm telling you, man, that was a matter of fact. I'll bring up that photo, and it's a pretty nice view. And Vegas still has a lot to give. I don't see it backtracking. We'll move on for the sake of time. Another thing that you and I talk about, and Don and I talk about, and a lot of people are talking about right now in publications, is M&A. Man, this whole thing about mergers and acquisitions is going off the chain. Nth degree.
I've seen more in 12 months than I've ever have.
Right,
Crazy.
In this industry.
Yeah.
You and I have been around a long time, right?
Yep. There used to be not really that many every so often, but wow, it's really, it makes you go, as a business owner, I'm like, I get hit up probably 5 times a week on, hey, have you considered selling? All the time.
Well, as I'll say, Nth Degree purchased Lancaster and Quantum Exposition. That's a big purchase. That's $30 million worth of business. So that's a big grab. So, Nth now owns Fern. They own Lancaster. And somebody put in your group said, well, there goes another colored shirt in the closet that goes to the back. Like Lancaster wears orange shirts, Renaissance wore green shirts, Fern wore green shirts. So everybody's like stripping off and going to purple shirts, which is what Nth Degree wears. So it's no mistake. Align Exhibits. This is maybe a little smaller M&A. Purchased Extreme Exhibits in Texas. I've known them in the Austin area for a while. And there's just, like you said, it's very bullish right now in our industry. That's the word I was looking for. Because of the economy, you hear, oh, it's really questionable, but then you see all of these M&As, and if you've got the cash, you're putting it down on the table. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I just don't know. Some of these are long established companies that survived COVID, and maybe they're like, I don't want to go through that again, and just cashing out. I don't blame them at all. I mean, I'm enjoying it right now. I think too much to sell. But who knows? Before 60, maybe. But no, I can see the allure. I mean, I would. Neither one of my kids are interested in the business, so I don't think I will be handing this down to anyone. Right. So
interesting.
I'll be selling. Yeah.
WS is privately owned, and we're always getting hit up, and they come to me. It's like I've got investment in it,
Oh, like, really?
Dude, I'm a VP of sales. I just bring the sales, fill the funnel. I have nothing to do with that, and I don't.
Got to get some of that phantom stock.
Yeah, right.
Ask about it.
I got no complaints. I'm being treated very fairly, which is how you want to go out.
Yeah.
I mean, at my age, I am looking at a dead end here coming up soon. I don't know how soon, but sooner than you. And it's good
you've
that
put
you're
in
enjoying it.
You've put in so many years, Mike, and your ups and your downs for you to not cash out in some way in this industry. It owes you a little bit, I think.
I'm glad you thought that way. I can't get anybody else to think that way.
I mean, seriously, you have contributed to this industry, and not just the industry, but in my career. I mean, I've known you forever, and I think that over the years I've learned a lot from you. So I mean, you're a legend, Mike. You're a legend.
There's the word. There's the word that everybody hates to hear. When you hear that you're a legend, you go, "Oh, that means I'm older than dirt." Okay, so I tell you what, this would be a good spot to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We talked about Vegas. When we come back, let's talk about Chicago and Orlando. What's happening in those two cities? Right after this.
Showbox Exhibits, headquartered in Houston, Texas, where they specialize in design, fabrication, and management of your trade show displays. At Showbox, the difference starts with listening to fully understand the unique brand story that's needed. Then they create an innovative, compelling concept that reflects specific event objectives. From static trade show displays to fully custom oversized exhibits featuring multimedia graphics, Showbox brings your company's message to the masses. Showbox is a trade show, convention, and environment design agency that is full service from start to finish. They're based in Houston, Texas, but they serve worldwide. They've been creating exhibits for over 20 years. Showbox Exhibits at showboxexhibits.com. From light boxes, towers, counters, and back walls to turnkey custom exhibits, WS Display is your partner in providing quality displays at extremely aggressive pricing to fit any reseller's budget. Make more profit by teaming up with WS. With a team of experts to assist with estimates, renderings, and CAD to fulfillment, setup, and test fitting, quality photo proofs, and complete project handling from our East Coast, West Coast, and Pacific fulfillment facilities. We can be your partner today. Hit me up at mike@wsdisplay.com for more information.
So we spent a lot of time hitting up on Las Vegas, a lot about M&A and all the big companies that everybody says the rich keep getting richer. I just think it's just smart business, bullish business right now. What about some cities that may or may not be doing well? And there's two that I mentioned before the break that seemingly, my research shows one's kind of getting kicked in the shins and the other one is just going off the charts. And it might be not surprising which one is which. Chicago, we'll take that one first. The headline is taking a beating for events. That's what it says. There was a convention canceled there and fans were left waiting on refunds. And this was for Epic Cons Chicago 3. This is a fan convention celebrating TV and film fandoms like The Vampire Diaries and Superman and Lois. It was canceled just days before its scheduled July 26th, 27th run at Navy Pier. Attendees and vendors say they are still waiting for refunds as organizers face lawsuits over unpaid debts. Imagine that. Many fans, some of whom spent thousands on travel and photo ops, made the trip anyway and are making the most of their weekend in Chicago, or did make most of their weekend. The other aspect was that caught my attention was NASCAR. This might catch your ear because you're a race car guy. NASCAR hits pause on the Chicago street race. You know, NASCAR went through downtown Michigan Avenue. All that area was roped off for a NASCAR race, and that's going to be put on hold. It will not appear in Chicago in 2026 as officials and organizers are still trying to agree on a new date. Most likely will be 2027, while NASCAR reportedly considers reviving the Chicagoland Speedway next season for a stop there. So Chicago, it always takes a beating. Not because necessarily, Todd, it's a blue state. It's just, I don't know what it is, if it's weather or just age. When you hear you're going to Chicago, it's not like you're packing your bags and going yeehaw,
Yay.
right? Yeah, it's not. It's like, geez, I'm going back to Chicago again. Not fun.
I mean, where they put the convention center? No, it's not fun. I lived there for a couple of years. I loved it. I thought Chicago was a great place to live and all that. But do I look forward to going back to the convention center area? No, I don't. Why did NASCAR decide to not go this? What's the reasoning for not going?
I didn't delve that deep, but I did watch the race, and it was very poor weather. It was
it rained on it. Yeah,
it rained on them, and anytime that happens, that dampens your thoughts, and to my guess, it would be the politics of Chicagoland's owners who said, "Hey, maybe you'll take a look at us now, and let's bring everybody back to this speedway and do something different. Let's give us another chance." That's outside looking in. That's what I would probably think. Maybe I'm wrong, but politics are politics, right? And everybody has a say in it. Maybe the authorities in Chicago said, we need a break. Because it was, when that shuts down, I'm kind of wondering, Todd, if it really took, if NASCAR really got a big bump by going to Chicago and racing that race, or if everybody said, I'll just wait and go to Bristol, or I'll go to somewhere else and watch the next one.
Talk to Las Vegas about a race being in the middle of their city. They hate it. Yeah. It's not good for the locals. It's great on TV. It's not even great there to watch, but it's 10 years now. It's stuck. So if you're going to ask the locals if they like the race there, they're 100% going to say they don't like it. It's disruptive.
It's trying to get around.
You can't get around.
Vegas in particular, the workers couldn't get into the casinos.
They couldn't get to work.
Couldn't get to work. And they were like, I'm not going to work if it's going to be this hard. And so now you get a labor problem. Same thing probably happened in Chicago. You've got to put that up in advance to where people find it very hard to maneuver around to get, what if you had a conference there during that time and you were dumb enough to book it during that race time?
Right.
I doubt that you did. But it can happen. I'm sure Vegas had that problem.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I do a show right before the race, the Monday through Wednesday, right before qualifying on that weekend. And fortunately, it's at Mandalay, so I can stay far away from everything. But it's a nightmare. I
bet. Now, the flip side, obviously, and you can figure out that Orlando is seeing major upticks this summer.
Okay.
Following a milestone 150th birthday celebration, the city enters August with major trade shows, transportation talks, which is interesting. They kind of followed Vegas on this one, and obviously theme park reveals. I've always said, you're either doing a show in Vegas where it's a one-armed bandit, or you're going to mid-Florida where there's 2 rats and a duck that are running everything. So the theme park reveal doesn't surprise me. Orlando's August trade shows focus on public safety, clean technology, and landscaping. Orlando is exploring the Boring Company loop for International Drive. Now think of that. Right, because they've got the boring Tesla going on.
Why would you go underground in Florida? Why would you go underground in Texas? You just can't on the Gulf or on the actual water. It's a stupid idea. Flood it.
Good point.
What are they
I'm
thinking?
Sure the engineers are probably looking that over. And then finally, Kissimmee approves a downtown hotel project with convention space. So maybe moving away from Disney a little bit, moving away from Orange County Convention.
How would you move away from, what is that, 3 mil? What's the square footage in OCCC? Both sides. Millions, right?
Million plus.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
West side open.
Kissimmee better build a big building to bring anything away from Orlando.
Well, a hotel project tells you right there it's going to be boutique shows and very tight association shows. But it does take them down to the land of, once again, 2 rats and a duck. But it's funny, you don't see smear campaigns on Orlando, but you do see them on Chicago and you do see them on Vegas. Interesting thought. Who might be behind the smear campaign?
Yeah.
Maybe Mickey and Minnie. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And so that's what's going on with the major convention world. As you've heard on Todd and Mike, and I'll mention it again now. Next week, I have back surgery that's been postponed one time and hopefully will not be postponed this time. People who know me in the industry know that I hadn't been getting around. I've been kind of confined to the home. And but they're saying, Todd, that once this is over, after a couple of weeks, maybe 3 max, I should be back to brand new again. Reasonably.
Nice.
I'm going to have bolts in 4 and 5, so swinging a golf club grip and rip's not going to happen, but I'll play 300 in and see how that works. And obviously I'll be kind of taking it easy, but you've got to do that anyway when you get my age, and just have fun, do what you can do, and just enjoy what you can. But I hate surgery. I just got back from Costco, or my pharmacy's right down the road, and it was Percocet. I think it was like 60 pills. And I went, how much pain am I going to be in that you got to give me 60 Percocet pills to get over? And then there's muscle spasm pills and other kind of pain pills. I'm like, and then the pharmacist, because I'm already on hydrocodone now on some other stuff, and he's like, now be sure that when you start taking this one, you put this one on the shelf and don't touch it. And I'm like, yeah, with my fingers crossed behind my back. I'm like, son, I'm telling you, if there's pain, I'm going to be loading up on whatever I could.
Right.
But what I will finish with, and this is a note to everybody, and some people may have already suffered this. I was hospitalized last month. When my surgery was finished, I'll make it quick. When it was postponed, rather, and I found that out. The pain kept coming, so I started eating Advil like M&Ms. You're sitting there popping them, and they say you're going to get ulcers.
Your liver, or
it was my GI tract and stomach, and I went to the emergency room looking for pain meds because my primary care physician said, I can't give you any more what I'm giving you. You're going to have to go to the emergency room. So I went. And they did some tests, and they said, son, you're got a serious problem. You got, and I had emergency endoscopy the next morning and found 4 ulcers that were about 1/4 inch in my GI tract. And but they took care of them, they cauterized them, and they gave me pills, and I got over it. But I learned the hard way.
Okay.
I don't care how bad it hurts. Do not take Aleve, Advil, aspirin, any of that stuff in quantities. Like I was taking 12, 15 at a time.
What?
Yeah.
200 milligrams?
Yep. That's how bad the pain was.
You're not supposed to take more than 8 in like an 8-hour span.
Aha. That's what I'm saying. So if you get that urge, drink water. Do something different. Get ice packs or do whatever you need to do. But do not. That stuff is poison. And I found out the hard way. And it kind of almost screwed me up for this surgery next week. But we got a clearance on that. And then they found that my heart was, I had an enlarged wall on one side of my heart. Not causing anything, but a little bit of stress. I'm going to look at blood thinners after the surgery. But that's the thing about getting old, man. We all kind of get there, and enjoy the time that you got, because it does fly by quickly. I'll turn the mic over to you for any last thoughts.
Yeah, YOLO, Mike. I mean, you only live once. Now, 15 Advil at one time. That's like 30,000 what is that? Whatever the math is, 3,000 milligrams. Ooh, man, I'm sorry, but that you must have been in some pain. That sucks. That sucks, man.
Last night I literally have NSAIDs. They call them NSAIDs, right? And they're sitting on the cabinet because I had bought them in quantity, and I can't touch them. I can't even touch. So now the GI doctor said you can have narcotics or Tylenol. Those are your options.
Yeah, you got to move. Yeah, and what is that? Acetaminophen, right? That's better for you. Yeah, take that instead. But
I take maybe 5 at a time there, and
man, you're hardcore. Are you crushing them up and snorting them?
Hey, have you been looking at my window while I'm taking medicine lately? Oh no, it's all going to be good here from Trade Shows Unhinged. We'll see you next month in September.